Welcome back. Episode 4.
May as well say it third time.
Third time. This is the third time we've tried recording this, but it seems like the universe has conspired itself against us to record this episode. We've been interrupted. One of the viewers knows who I'm talking about. We've been interrupted twice.
Yeah.
And this is our third attempt. Hopefully we'll probably be interrupted again.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping it's, at least 10-15 minutes into the episode and not immediately after we start.
Yeah, I'd rather not have new viewers quit after 30 seconds.
Exactly. We talked about not a lot, but we had 3 separate intros.
Yeah.
We talked about three separate things, the 3 separate times that we recorded this.
Let's go through them.
The first one, we started with trying to talk about the CRISPR thing that you brought up last episode.
Yeah. I mean, I don't remember, but he was telling me that apparently at the end of last episode, I was saying that CRISPR is kind of like RPG character creation. And I don't exactly remember it, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Because the whole thing with CRISPR is you can... I just want to bring this point up. I was talking about this with one of my friends at university, and she brought up a pretty decent point, which is that we have things called restriction enzymes, right?
Okay.
And restriction enzymes, basically the way they work, the way they work is that they can cut DNA at certain points, but they cut them in a certain way, such that you have these sticky ends, they're called, and these sticky ends... Yeah, I know, it sounds stupid, but they have these things called sticky ends.
Trying to get at your sticky ends.
But they have these sticky ends that can be used to add a gene that have similar sticky ends. So the whole thing with CRISPR, right, is that people think, oh, we can just modify DNA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we already had that technology before. We had restriction enzymes.
Right.
So I was kind of curious as to why is CRISPR so cool, right? Like, why does it matter? And I was looking it up, and it's actually restriction enzyme actually had a restriction.
Okay.
Thank you. And,
Thank you. How does it feel to have a whole lot of one person laugh at your joke?
It feels like I'm on Friends.
I don't get it, but okay.
I was just thinking about like how every time they make a joke on Friends,
it gets. Oh, are we gonna talk about freaking what are those shows called? Sitcoms and their laugh tracks.
Dude, have you
seen the
that?
show without the laugh track?
Yeah, have you seen that?
Of course. Big Bang Theory. I mean, it's a bad enough show already, but
yeah, without the laugh track, it's kind of funny in its own way. Cause I think about that a lot too. Cause a lot of movies and stuff, like if you just take away the music,
it's weird.
It's very awkward.
It is. It's weird. Yeah.
And it kind of just. Music is so important to just setting this scene.
And I was just talking about that with somebody because of Supersonic Rocket Ship by the Kinks.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that song. It was in Endgame.
Okay.
And it was at one of the scenes, they played Supersonic Rocket Ship, and it's such a memorable song. Like, the second you hear the intro to that song, like, you exactly know what part of the movie you are. Like what part of the movie you're in.
Yeah. And
that's so important. Like, there was somebody in the sound design who specifically chose that song because they knew that song would have that kind of effect on the scene.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's like with the Borderlands games, because I'm playing them right now.
Yeah.
Every single one has.
You play with your headphones, right?
Yeah. So I
Borderlands was actually one of the first and only games I've played with my headphones, because I played them I play it at night. Usually any of the other games besides Rocket League.
Yeah.
But Rocket League, I didn't hear any of the sound through my headphones. I only heard music.
Right.
I used to listen to music while I played it.
Yeah.
But any other game, I'd only play it through the TV speakers, even if it was at night.
Mm-hmm.
Borderlands was one of the only ones where we would play, and I'd have my headphones in, and then after we were done playing, if I wanted to play it again, like in the middle of the night, I'd play it with the headphones in. It was crazy. Like, I've never played a video game with headphones before. And I feel like it was a big mistake because, like, a lot of sound design goes into video games.
Oh, for sure, dude.
And, like, I wasn't appreciating any of it.
It's wild. I know. Yeah. I was watching one video, like some creator was talking about gun sounds in Borderlands 3.
It was
And,
like a YouTube video?
yeah,
Okay.
and it was really interesting because they were talking about like thousands of different gun sounds they have, and how some of the sounds are actually taken from some of the older actual guns. Did you hear
Yeah.
that?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
Actually, I haven't heard that.
but it's just really interesting because um I don't know if you remember, but I never really played any of my video games with sound because my parents used to get kind of annoyed.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah, so I've never really played, but with the PS4, because I can actually plug it into the controller, so I can
And then
use it.
listen, yeah.
So it's been amazing because
Yeah.
games just feel alive now because I can actually listen to it with the actual
Yes.
music.
Yeah. Dude, I can only imagine not listening to. I mean, at least I was able to hear it from the TV.
Yeah,
But if I had played most of my games with no sound, I don't know. I feel like I'd have a completely different experience.
dude. At some points in Borderlands now,
That's like imagine if you grew up watching to all your movies and TV with no sound,
it's
and then
just
all of a sudden the sound's there.
it's great. There are certain points, like especially in Borderlands,
Yeah.
again because I'm playing it, but I'm just playing, and I love how they match up the song to when like the actual stuff gets hyped.
Oh yeah, because the song is it's dynamic.
Yeah.
They did that in Rocksmith as well, like the dynamic where if your
Oh, right.
volume is going up, in your guitar, the backing track would also go up to
Mhm.
match you.
Yeah.
It would like go up in intensity,
Yeah.
and if you quiet down your volume, then it would go down in intensity.
Mhm.
So I'm sure they use the same like mechanic there, where if you're say taking damage,
Mhm.
obviously it'll go up in intensity, or if there's surrounding you, if there's some enemies that enter your circle,
Yeah.
then it might up the intensity of the music.
Mhm.
You have to be able to make music though that's very not linear, the opposite of linear, very what's the word, like
It can you can change it like at a
yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
But
it can't be very linear music is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because like backing music for movies and video
Yeah.
games.
Like the whole point of it is it's so interesting. Like it's like you don't want to notice it, but you want to notice it at the same time.
Right.
Like I can't explain it, but anyway, I was thinking about like people like they don't make their own music or a lot of the stuff they don't make their own music. They choose songs,
Yes.
and it's like that's a lot of songs to search through. I mean,
Mhm.
I'll go through YouTube and just randomly put on like playlists, and it's just like
Right.
I'll go through a playlist of like 50 songs, and I'm like I've never heard these songs before in my life,
Absolutely.
and to choose one that works perfectly, I mean, it's
Yeah, you have to be not only capable of like searching through like that big library, because there's a music library. I forgot what it was called. I
Mhm.
remember seeing it in a Vsauce video, but there's a music library with almost every known recorded song, um and it has it like, you know, saved in that database or whatever. You have to be able to like, I guess, have the patience for looking through all those songs, but you also have to have a good repertoire of yourself, I feel like, you
Yeah.
know? And that means listening to a lot of different kinds of music.
Mhm. But going back to like 3 conversations ago with CRISPR.
Oh, yes. That's
Um,
what yes.
Yeah. So the whole thing with restriction enzymes is that the enzymes only cut at specific places, right? Because they have to have this certain sequence and they'll cut there. But the whole thing with
Right.
CRISPR is that you give it a guide RNA. So you can
Yes.
you can
Okay.
customly it's very easy because the protein that actually cuts, which is like the Cas9 protein, um it stays the same for all of CRISPR. So the only thing that changes is this guide RNA, and that's what dictates where it'll cut.
Oh.
So it's really helpful because that way you don't have to make a different enzyme
Yeah.
for each time you want to cut a different place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really helpful again because making a new protein is very difficult in the first place. If you know anything about proteins, scientists haven't figured out how proteins work
Really?
in the sense that they can't look at like a primary structure, you know, like so they can't look at the amino acid sequence and they can't tell you what it looks like or what it does at all.
Wow.
So yeah, they're like I would from what I've heard, people think that they're like decades away.
Carthy just had a minor stroke there.
It's fine.
Excuse him for a second.
It happens. But yeah, scientists think that they're like decades away from figuring that out.
Wow. We gotta watch an episode of Love, whatever. What is it called? Love, Death, and Robots
Okay.
today. Like one of the like 15 minutes. I mean, they're all like 15 minutes, but like we
Right.
gotta quickly watch one of them probably after the podcast.
Okay. I like your screensaver there. Very trippy. It looks like
it's very
kaleidoscope.
trippy. It's yeah.
So going back, so the whole thing with CRISPR is that you can cut anywhere you want, and you don't have to make a separate protein. You can just make a amino acid, or you can make a RNA sequence for where you want to cut, and that's pretty helpful again, because the reasons I said before, you don't have to make a new protein. Can you guys name that song?
Sorry. CRISPR.
Chicken.
CRISPR. MSG.
Are you saying extra or extra?
Well, I think the person in the song was trying to say extra, but they were saying exer.
Yeah.
And I just want to be authentic,
I was watching another video talking about singing and how people like modify words or vowels, especially.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
That's pretty cool. Singing is a lot more complicated. Everything is so complicated when you really get into it.
Well, yeah, no, absolutely.
And
everything is super complicated. It's crazy.
And you can get a PhD in almost anything.
But I feel like that's all. It's like you really can get a PhD in almost
anything. And my
anything.
question is, like, when you defend your thesis, right?
Yeah.
So this is my question with a lot of things. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not like knowledgeable enough right now to understand how the process works. But or maybe just not literate enough when I'm talking about scientific literature. Okay. Just because when people get PhDs, for example,
yeah,
or when you're submitting a grant proposal, right?
Okay.
So to get money for research.
Yeah.
You're having people who have nothing to do with your research, sometimes, and when you're doing a PhD in something very foreign, you might have people who don't understand at all what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my thing is, how do they judge you? How do they know what to say? Like, how do they know, like, yeah, this is okay or this is bad? Like,
see, this is one of those things where you, like, if I had this kind of question, like, of my own thought. Yeah, I would immediately go to Reddit for something like that, just because I feel like there'd be at least somebody on Reddit who would have some kind of information on a question like that.
Yeah, because like when I'm talking with just with researchers and like PhD students, like they'll be talking about other research, right? And sometimes it'll just be like interesting research, right? Not even stuff that has to do with us, but they'll call people out on their bullshit all the time,
right?
Just by reading stuff, and it's just like, what do you look for? Like, do you just gain that through like reading a bunch of stuff over and over again, or just like you're looking for specific things? And I feel like the most important skill sometimes that you can have is asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm not there yet, and it kind of frustrates me because I'm just like, how do I know what question to ask?
Right.
Because sometimes like I want to know something, but I don't know the question to ask.
Yeah.
Like it sounds weird, but it's just like, or you know what's better? I think a better way to phrase it is, I don't know what I don't know. So because I don't know what I don't know the questions to ask to get to knowing that.
Right. Stupid. It's been 3 days.
Damn, this podcast long.
That was a good one. That was a knee slapper. I wanted to talk about, apparently today is the 30th anniversary of the 1989 Batman, the Michael Keaton one.
Every day is something different, huh?
Well, I mean, because every day is a day, so something's bound to happen.
That's kind of wild.
Yeah. There's never one day. There's never going to be one day where nothing happens. How crazy is that?
There was an article about that where someone reported that this was the most uninteresting day in terms of reporting stuff.
No way.
Yeah, I forgot what it was.
I disagree, because there's always something to report.
I mean, yes, you can report stuff. But
yeah.
But like, it doesn't have to be interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's just completely subjective.
It's just Fox News, right?
What? Yeah. Whoa. I thought we had agreed over like dinner one day that we were not gonna get political. Did we not?
I mean, facts aren't political.
All right then. Today's episode is sponsored by Fox News. Catch our new segment. Shit. Fuck. Tuesday, June. Fuck.
23rd.
No, today's the 23rd, you jackass.
Damn it.
Tuesday,
25th.
the 76th.
There we go.
Join us at 7:15 p.m.
7:65 p.m.
for our new Fox show. We're going to be hosts of our new segment, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about before is perception of time is so weird. So
Whoa.
So
what I wanted to talk about is how the 10th dimension actually represents our dimension.
Oh, dude, there's this really
Karthi just lit up like, no, for real.
So there's this really great video on explaining the dimensions.
Yeah, I've seen like all of those. I love those videos.
Did you see that one that was really basic? Was
it the like high schooler one?
No,
it was one of a high schooler explaining it.
It wasn't that one, because most of those go on really lengthy explanations, which is fine. But I feel like just to start off, this one tried to explain it.
Was the animation one? There was one like black and white animation kind of?
It was kind of like an animation. It was like a drawn animation where it's just like, all right, we start off with the 0th dimension, right? So just a point.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, and the line, yes, dude, that was amazing.
It was on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a I remember there's a video. It's kind of animation, hand-drawn-y looking animation. Yeah.
That was
it's very simple animation. Like,
yeah.
It's like it seemed like a white background with like black in front. I don't remember. I saw it a while ago.
But and then you look at the next video, and it was just talking about people in the 10th dimension are actually gods. So
are actually gods?
Yeah, I saw another video that was saying that. So that was interesting.
If there is a being in the 10th dimension, there would technically be a god?
Yes.
How so? Because they can control...
I mean, so my problem with that is understanding the dimensions first and what it means to be in that dimension.
Right.
So
like because if you're in another dimension, you have to assume that you can manipulate the dimensions below you.
But what does it mean to manipulate the dimension? Like, we're in the 3rd dimension. What does it mean we can manipulate the 3rd dimension?
We can pass through it. Like, okay, so there's this one... Oh, man, this is going to be so hard to explain. So, let me think about this. Okay, so if I were to pass through this as a 3-dimensional object, through this 2-dimensional plane, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would go through, like, this way or whatever way, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would be seen from this 2-dimensional plane as if I was something very tiny, or let's just use one finger, right? If I passed my finger through this 2-dimensional plane, it would look like I was a very tiny... See, this is hard to explain for people listening as well, because...
You don't have the visual.
You don't have the visual. But you would be a very, very, very tiny point that gets bigger.
Yes. So
it's and like all of a sudden gets small again.
Yeah, it's
right?
like the MRI thing. You know, where,
exactly.
Yeah, so when you're going... Yeah.
So what I'm doing in that world, per se, in that 2-dimensional world, I'm something that just came into existence and then completely vanished out of existence.
Okay. So you're talking about that in terms of 4th
that's what I mean
being...
that's what I mean by being able to manipulate. Okay. So, like, for example, if a 4-dimensional being were to step into or pass through our dimension, what would it like be like? I know there's a video explaining what it would be like. What I find really interesting though is how people tie this to, you know, the whole quantum dark matter thing or dark energy.
Things,
yeah, the dark energy where there's random like virtual particles that come into existence and then disappear out of existence.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did studies, they did research using 2 plates that were practically microns apart. They were so unbelievably close.
Mm-hmm.
And what they thought was the gravitational pull actually bringing them together, even though they weren't close enough to be pulled together by gravity. What happened instead, they found out, is that there were particles in between them that all of a sudden appeared out of nowhere. Like, yeah, they called them virtual particles, but like there were particles that appeared out of nowhere and then disappeared. And that let off some kind of energy which caused them to come and contact the two
Okay.
plates.
All right.
And so that proved that there's some kind of thing called virtual particles that appear and then disappear.
Okay. So
So people, you see what I'm saying?
yeah.
People are thinking that those virtual particles might be the the passing through of a fourth dimensional being, or the fourth dimension itself, like through or whatever. I
Okay.
don't know,
Yeah.
something crazy
So
like that.
it's like we're a moment in time, and that thing is passing through.
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
As if like my finger would have passed through
Yeah.
that second dimension.
All right. Actually, the finger thing helped a lot. I think.
Yeah, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If you see it that way.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh
I
yeah,
got
because
it.
I was saying, how are the 10 dimensions gods? Because you said that.
Oh,
Because you saw a video about it or something.
I was actually gonna say, so you know how we talk about time travel and stuff like that?
Yes, I love talking about time travel. It's one of my favorite topics.
So I don't know if anyone's really thought about this, but like the number of particles in the universe, I don't know if that's supposed to be a constant or how that works.
Is it?
I don't know how
I've
that works.
never.
But it's just like like the whole thing.
Excuse
Like,
me.
matter can't be created or
Yes.
destroyed.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. No, definitely. There's definitely a finite amount of things.
Yeah.
There has to be, because it all started from the Big Bang, so it started from one thing.
So if we're doing
But-
time travel,
Yeah.
right? Then aren't we increasing or decreasing whichever time point you're looking at, the number of particles? So how does that affect anything? Like it's got to affect something.
The overall amount of particles that are in the.
Or maybe it's just like such a minute thing that it doesn't affect anything on a grand scale. But
Maybe. I think it is very minute.
But it's just I don't know. It just
Depends on the scale of,
yeah.
yeah,
But it just feels weird. Like I feel like there should be something there. Like
some kind of consequence to that.
yeah.
I honestly could not tell
I don't know.
you.
You just get a red flag. God comes down and red flags you.
10th dimension God here. You have broken the law.
Dalek.
I don't know. That's just what I picture a 10th dimensional being to speak like.
It's other stuff we want to talk about.
You know what I want to talk about?
Yeah.
How amazing of a show Mad Men is.
Okay.
I fucking love it.
What's it about?
Okay, here's what I find. Here's why I like Mad Men so much.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, you want to know what it's about?
Yeah.
It's about mostly the main character, Don Draper.
Okay.
He's an advertising exec
Okay.
in 1950s, like late 1950s Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like the whole show is kind of a character study of some sort,
Okay.
or it's really it's like a drama character study thing between him and the people he's around
Okay.
and all of their lives and whatnot. It's a really good show. In my opinion, why how am I gonna word this? Okay, so the reason why I like Mad Men so much is it has this thing where it depicts different generations, like past generations, and I have this weird fascination with generations.
Okay.
Like generational studies, if that's even a thing. Like
How do
I
you
have
mean?
this weird fascination with. I only know from the lost generation is the only one I know, or the oldest one I know. But you know how the generations go? It's
No.
the lost generation is World War One, the
Okay.
generation that fought in World War One, I think. I believe so. It was like 1880s or so to 19 whatever's, right? The lost generation, I think it's called the lost generation because like there's currently no people from that generation alive right now.
Really?
If I'm not wrong, I'm not 100% sure because I thought there was somebody alive from 1980s. I mean 1890s.
I thought the lost
something.
generation had to do with like finding a home after war or something like that.
Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Lost Generation. Then came the I think the
Depressed
Silent Generation.
Oh.
No. Silent Generation was 1950s,
Okay.
40s and 50s. After the Lost Generation was the GI Generation. I think that was World War II. That fought in World War II.
Why do I think gastrointestinal?
No, like GI.
Joe.
Every time I think of GI, I think of GI Tract as well.
Oh, I think of GI Joe as well.
Oh yeah, GI Joe's GI
What is
Tract.
GI Joe?
That's a good question.
Like, what does GI stand for?
Well, I always knew it as gastrointestinal. I've always known GI as gastrointestinal. Honestly, I never knew what GI stood for in GI Joe.
You remember that movie he had a couple years back?
What movie? G.I. Joe had a movie?
Yeah, live action.
That's fucking whack.
It's pretty good.
Wait, are you serious?
It's pretty decent. Yeah.
Really?
No, I mean, if you're into like movies like really, if you're into
Really
corny,
generic action films?
yes.
Oh my god. I'm not a big fan. But God, I can't remember this. I might have to look it up. But I think it's the Lost Generation. 'Cause that goes up to like
Silent Boys.
the silent no. Lost, then GI, I think.
Oh.
I don't want to be wrong. So I'm just gonna look it up really quickly.
Yeah, because our 2 viewers are definitely gonna comment below.
What'd you say?
Our 2 viewers are gonna comment below.
It's not it's not even about the viewers, it's more that I have a deep-seated issue with being wrong.
Can I see that melodica?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't know if you want to use my spit tube.
Do you have a spit tube?
Oh my god! My spit tube broke!
Oh no.
Okay, I fixed it, don't worry about it. So I'll give you this mouthpiece instead.
Alright, cool. Wait, is there a difference?
In sound? No.
Oh, okay.
One thing that's crazy though, I want to show you in a bit.
That feels so weird.
Isn't it so surreal? Like, it's not even surreal. It's just weird because you don't, or at least for me, I forget that you have to breathe.
So
I think of it because I see a piano and I'm classically a pianist.
okay.
So I see a piano and I want to just press the keys and make noise. But I press it and like the fact that it makes no noise is so disturbing to me. And then I realize I have to breathe out. It's so weird. The fact that I can change the rhythm with my breath, I don't like that.
That's actually pretty interesting. But I feel like the weirdest thing is, if you're not playing a note, you can't let any air out, which makes sense if you don't want to play a note without like playing a note.
Right. It's like taking parts of singing and parts of piano and putting them together into one instrument.
No, I meant like if you breathe out, you can't
Oh.
breathe out. Like if you're not playing a note, like
Oh, you can't breathe out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a button on the bottom that if you press it, it's to like clean out the spit and stuff. You just blow really hard. But if you press that button on the bottom, you'll be able to breathe out. Yeah.
So did you figure out the Generation Boys?
Yeah, it's here. I wanna play something on the melodica.
Play Overcooked.
How does Overcooked go again?
Dun 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 dun.
How does Overcooked
Have you ever tried that? Like you go on Shazam and then you just sing a song?
what try and go to see dude, only all the time and it never works.
It never works.
I hate it. You wanna see something weird?
Yes.
Before I go into the generational thing?
Yeah.
Generational theory?
So wait, before when you were talking about generational studies, what did you mean?
Is that a thing?
What did you mean by that?
Just studying generations.
Like
It's more social science. What
Okay.
generational study is like a social science, and it's studying how what kind of worldview specific groups of people had that can categorize them into a generation, because there aren't distinct generations because birth rates are kind of fluid, so
it's not like everyone's born like in
exactly
1930.
they're not
like
all born in one
yeah.
block of time and they're like, hey, you're gonna act like this, you're gonna think like this,
Yeah.
and then boom, the next block of people. So like it's very fluid, and so because of that there's a lot of arguments as to what the real generations are, because people have argued that like, oh, these two generations are very similar in the way they have their worldviews and whatnot.
Yeah.
The older ones, they have it pretty set, but I feel like it's more for like for now.
Yeah.
Like it's mostly between millennials, Gen Z, and then the one after that, whatever that one's called, I don't know.
2000 Spaces.
2000, no, 2007 and on, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are technically Gen Z, you and me.
Oh really?
Yeah, we're technically. My sister is technically a millennial.
Okay.
And the ones the kids that are being born from millennials now, so like pretty much 2008 and on, are the generation after us.
How do they choose which?
But the weird thing is, see, we're like right at the start.
Yeah.
of Gen Z, and there are a lot of kids who are right at the end of Gen Z.
Yeah.
So like those kids who are at the end of Gen Z, like people 4 or 5 years younger than us,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're really different. Like it doesn't feel like we're part of the same generation.
I mean, that's
But
why
we,
it's the end, right?
yeah, yeah.
But I was gonna ask, how do they? Oh, that brings me up to my next question. How do they choose when like that generation thing begins and ends?
How do they choose when
Like,
the generations begin? I think that all has to do with just like
it's just like a set number of.
historically.
Okay.
They have to like it's easier to see where the generations begin and end, obviously, in hindsight. You can't really see it while it's going on.
Yeah.
So I feel like the only way to really know what generation it is or what generation it's going to be,
Just to look back on it.
correct.
All right.
So you just kind of have to just let it be and let it live so then you can look back on it.
All right.
So the generation, I was correct, by the way. So it was the Lost Generation, which was World War One.
GI.
GI,
What
which
does
was...
GI stand for?
Oh my god, you're going to make me look this up now, too? You have a computer right behind you, just so you know.
Do I look like I'm in incapacity to use it right now? I'm
You're
being held by I'm being held hostage by this mic.
by this microphone.
I'm trying not to hit it as best as possible, and I've hit it 3 times.
I don't get how you hit the mic. It's really easy not to hit the mic. Just
I'll hit the whip. I hit the mic.
hit the whip. Hit the whip. Sorry.
He's
too
definitely not sorry.
So GI stands for government issues. Government
Oh.
issues. Government issued.
Okay.
Not
So-
issues.
Government issues.
No, issued.
Issued.
Yeah. So like a GI soldier, like GI Joe, is a
Mm.
government issued soldier.
Oh.
Exactly. To differentiate them from like, I don't know, militias, I guess.
Oh. Maybe?
Right?
I don't know.
Whatever, man. Lost Generation is not number one. There's
Why
a
do they
lot
call
of
it the
other.
Lost Generation?
It doesn't say, okay? Oh my god, I'm gonna have to look this up too now?
You're curious, aren't you?
I am. Now I wanna know that. I'm gonna assume they're called the Lost Generation because, yeah, right here. It says all known members of this generation are now deceased.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's why they're called the Lost Generation.
But why not every other generation before that?
Ow. Huh? Because I guess this is when they started doing.
It's definitely not
studying-
because you had 2 generations before that.
No, like they started doing like studying it, maybe around that time. I don't know.
This sounds stupid.
It is stupid. Okay,
I feel like it was a useless generation, so they just.
they called it the Lost Generation. They fought World War One. They weren't that useless.
Oh, then I definitely feel like it's because of something after the war.
It was something after the war.
Like, you know what I was saying before, like they felt lost or something because they had no sense of
Maybe.
purpose. Because you had a
Maybe.
bunch of young people going into war, and after
Mhm.
you come back, what do? You went through that horrible experience.
That's true. That's
And-
true.
It's not like. No, let's not get political. Never mind.
Anyway.
Yes.
After that was the GI, also known as the Greatest Generation, apparently.
Mhm.
After which, so the GI one was World War II. There you go up to like 1927. Or they were born around 1927,
Okay.
and they lived through World War II,
Okay.
and most of them
And that was
fought
the
in
greatest generation?
Greatest Generation, or the GI.
So World War II is the greatest generation.
Yes, they're called the Greatest Generation.
Makes sense?
Um, next called the Silent Generation. They're
Okay.
also known as the Lucky Few,
Okay.
and this is the Mad Men era. So Silent Generation is Mad Men era. They were born around 1925 to 42
Okay.
in that time span, and they lived through 1950s. You know, classic Fallout age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then there were the children of the Silent Generation, which were baby boomers. You know baby boomers.
Of course.
Yes. Baby boomers were around 1946 to 64. Then was Gen X, which our parents are either baby boomers or Gen Xers.
Okay.
So yeah, baby boomers were born 46 to 64, and Gen Xers were what does this say? Demographic, blah, 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 blah. And birth years ranging from the early to mid 1960s and ending in the 80s. So my parents are right between baby boomers and Gen X. I don't know where yours are. When were they born?
76.
70. Yeah, so your parents are Gen Xers.
Yeah.
But I mean, then again, my mom would be closer to this because I think both of our parents, or my dad and your parents, they didn't grow up here.
No.
Exactly. So they wouldn't be subjected to any of U.S.
So this is all U.S. based, right?
Yes, this is all Western. And it's really interesting because every country has its own generational thing.
Do they really? Okay, that's my next
but I
question.
don't know if they study it. That's the thing. A lot of countries don't really keep track of it, or maybe they do. But I couldn't find anything in my while I was looking it up, because I look up this stuff relentlessly. I love it. It's so interesting to think about. Anyway, my parents then were late baby boomers.
Okay.
My mom may have been maybe closer to Gen X, if anything, because my mom was grew up here, so she would have more influence from this.
Yeah.
Then we're millennials, which are millennials right now are probably like late 20 somethings, early 30s. And then there's Gen Z, which is us, some people that are still in high school, and most of the college goers.
Do they have any reason for like the different letters?
No, Gen X, I don't know why they did the letters. I don't know why Gen X started those letters, but it was supposed to be Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. I don't know why they did that. But Gen Y is the millennials, and they got that name, I think, from like...
No one knows why.
Nobody knows why. Oh, no. Because it's the 2000s, the millennia. Like, they were the ones to actually live, because they grew up in... I mean, they were born in, what, 1993-ish? So they lived from that past millennium to this millennium. So they're called the millennials. That's crazy. Technically, we are the last to have been alive in the past millennia. Nobody else has ever been. Nobody else after our generation will be born before, if that makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
I definitely know what you're trying to say,
Yeah,
but it sounds stupid.
It does sound stupid. Okay, anyway, so the reason I brought up generations is because in Mad Men, you get to know, like, these different people, and you can tell they're from different generations because of the way they act and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see, because like you don't really think about, when you think about like people from like the old times, right?
Yeah.
Like just looking back at history. I don't know if it's just me, but like when I look back at history, it all just feels like one thing that happened in the past, and now we're in now, or like the present, and there's like a certain bubble around the present. But like the past to me just feels like it's all kind of one thing.
So when I think of the past,
Or like the near past, even like the 1900s, if anything.
so I know we say years a lot and stuff, but
past 100 years, say.
Yeah, but you know that fact they always bring up when they're talking about like linearization of events in the past? It was like, oh yeah, when the pyramids were being built.
Oh, I love that analogy. Yeah.
And
the Romans are as old as... The Romans are as old... Fuck.
Well, I was gonna say that when
while
the pyramids
were being built, there were still woolly mammoths.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say while the pyramids were being... I can't fucking talk. Okay. The Romans are as old to us as the pyramids are to the Romans.
That's actually pretty cool.
Right?
But I don't know. I read it and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it doesn't
really hit you.
It doesn't, like, yeah, exactly. It doesn't hit me.
Because you don't really know in what context. Like you don't see the bigger scope of the thing, right?
But I feel like I do see the bigger scope, but that bigger scope is just that. It's a bigger scope. I feel like to really feel it, you have to feel the different, like, small aspects of life. Like, I feel like knowing the differences, like those big events we talk about, they don't really hold much impact just because I wasn't there to feel it.
Right.
So I don't know the linearization. Like, I didn't know how it felt to go from one event to the other.
Yeah.
So because of that, it just all kind of feels like these are all the events. They happened in the past.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And because of that, actually seeing, even though it is just a TV show, the portrayal of it and seeing it happen and seeing those three generations, because this show spans those three generations. It spans it doesn't really span much of the GI generation, but there are characters who live through the GI generation.
Okay.
Most of the characters, the main characters are that part of the silent generation, the lucky few.
Okay.
In the 1950s and 60s, and then you see the baby boomers from like the 60s
Okay.
and whatnot, and seeing how their culture shifted. It's really, really interesting. I love the show mostly because of that, because you can see how these generations interact. And I guess it really reminds me of how our generations interact, or any generations really interact. Because, like, at all times, I feel like there are three generations, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
at all. Well,
Well,
obviously,
because
yeah.
like you have like what each generation like 20 to 30 years. So if a
hmm
person lives like 60 years, then there you go.
Yeah, you'd have at least three generations at all times. But, like, it's so interesting to see it in that show.
Yeah.
And, like, you kind of think about it, and you kind of see it in regular everyday as well.
Yeah.
It's a great show, and I think you should watch it.
All right. Yeah. Am I watching any shows right now?
I don't know.
I'm actually not watching any shows.
No. You've been playing a lot of video games, though.
I have been playing a lot of video
Yeah,
games.
I've been the opposite. I've just been watching shows on shows, man.
Yeah.
Like, trying to find more stuff to watch.
I get to that during the semester because I don't play any
Yeah,
video games during the
yeah.
semester. So I'll just watch shows at night.
But, like, what's the difference?
For me, the difference is that
Oh, let me take a guess.
go ahead.
Okay. I wasn't sure. You just stopped. You were just staring at me. You didn't even say, okay, go ahead, take a guess. My guess is during the semester, usually your brain is pretty active because of all of the school.
Yeah.
And watching TV is not an active thing, it's a passive thing. You're pretty much just putting your brain to rest while something is being fed to you.
Yeah.
While video games is very active, it's something that you actually like putting energy and thought into.
I mean, that's really good. That's pretty close to what I would think. It's
Sweet.
It's also I feel like when I play video games, I feel like I am putting a lot of energy into it.
Yeah.
And you know I love really just going into a video game like
I thought you were gonna say I really love religious games.
yeah, we're gonna play the Jesus game.
We're about to play Jesus. We're gonna hopefully play Jesus Christ RPGs, that Baby Jesus RPG or something like that.
Yeah.
Jesus RPG. I don't know. It's some game that a close friend of ours told us to play, and
Yeah.
we're gonna check it out. It seems fun.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm putting all the energy there when I play
Mhm.
video games.
Mm-hmm.
And during the semester, I just don't want to because I feel like I get distracted.
Right.
But with TV shows, it's just like every night I just don't have to sleep. That's it.
that's the price I gotta pay.
Exactly.
Shit.
Yeah.
Seems perfectly all right with me.
I don't know if this is true with you because your mom did grow up here.
Yeah.
But an interesting thing that I've experienced is that none of my parents worked like during high school or college.
Yeah.
And none of my family has worked because that's just not a cultural thing that happens in India. Like
Same with Bangladesh, yeah. But actually, both of my parents did work.
oh really?
Yeah. Oh well. No, that's a lie. Well, my dad worked.
Yeah, my dad worked too. Kind of. He had his own
But
business.
it wasn't during high school. It was when
During
he was in
college.
trade school, because he went to trade school.
Oh okay.
My mom worked definitely in high school. She worked at Sabaros, I remember.
Okay.
And she worked at some other places. She worked at like a wholesale place.
All right.
But yeah, she worked in high school.
But
But yeah, culturally, that's not. Yeah, definitely. And
every
especially in like the country itself, like in Bangladesh, nobody's working in high school.
yeah.
It's rare to see people work while they're in university as well.
And I'm just curious to see if that's a thing elsewhere too, like in other countries.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But every time my parents call my family back in India, and my mom is just like, yeah, he's working,
He's
yes,
working, yeah.
and they're just like, why? And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm broke, and they're like, that doesn't matter. Like your parents have money, and it just feels like a weird thing to me because I don't know, maybe it's just me, or maybe it's because I've grown here. I don't know. It's just like I don't want my parents' money.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, I wanna like when I grow up, I just like I don't want their money.
Exactly.
But they're always like, yeah, our money is yours, you know that, and I'm like, I don't want it though.
It's definitely a cultural thing,
Yeah.
because to people in like South Asian countries,
Yeah.
and their culture, I feel like it is collectively everyone's money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I feel like Eastern cultures have a lot stronger sense of community.
Yeah.
While Western cultures have a lot stronger sense of individuality.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's really what differentiates it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool seeing Eastern versus Western cultures and how they work and stuff. Like, have you heard of those like studies where they'd show they did a bunch of studies for Eastern versus Western cultures, and one of the ones that's like sticking to my brain that I remember still was they showed pictures, many like paintings and stuff, I think, or maybe it was just photographs, but they showed them to Eastern cultures, like people from that have backgrounds in Eastern culture and people with backgrounds in Western culture, and they noticed that people in Whoa, is that me?
Siri has activated.
Where did it get Hey Siri from? Anyway, when they showed the pictures to people from Western cultures, so like, England or like the UK, US, Canada, blah blah blah, what people might call first world countries, quote unquote, they tended to focus more on the foreground, while the people from Eastern cultures focus more on the background,
Interesting.
which I found really interesting.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wonder if there's a reason. Like, there has to be a reason.
I think I think it's just like the socio-political environment, just like how they grow up,
All right, fair enough.
the types of people they grow up around.
All right.
And
So it's like not focusing on the main picture, it's like focusing on everything.
yeah, probably something like that. Like something in the way they grow up
Mm-hmm.
just makes their brain randomly um do that. That's really crazy though, how minute, how nuanced brains are.
Yeah. I think, dude, I don't know if you ever heard about this experiment, but there's this tribe.
I fucking hate myself for saying that. Yeah, continue. Trident?
There was this.
Oh, the tribe? What kind of
Yes.
tribe?
I don't know, but the tribe had never looked at photographs.
Oh my god.
So because they never looked at photographs,
That's crazy.
when they look at photographs, they can't tell depth perception and stuff like that.
No.
It was something to do with like something like that.
Oh my god.
And
What?
dude, it was. I don't even understand how that works.
You know, like, you know, we technically see everything upside down and their brain flips it, right?
Yes, because
So-
of our lens.
Yeah.
You can take like a fisheye, and if you take the fisheye out, you can take the lens out, and you can see everything upside down. It's pretty cool.
And did you know that uh if you wear goggles that make your vision stay upside down, flip your vision, right?
Yeah, eventually your brain will stop flipping stuff upside down, so you see everything normally. And then
Correct. Once
when you
take
take
it
them
off,
off,
your
everything's
eyes are going to just be not stuck, but they're going to be upside down for a little bit.
yeah.
How great. That's terrifying.
I mean, it's like the backwards bike thing.
It
right?
is like the backwards bike thing.
But it's just like,
But like you're changing your vision. That's kind of scary to me.
I mean, if everything is just like a sense, you can change any sense.
Oh yeah.
We just tend to rely on vision so much because it's like the
Yeah.
most engaged. Like we use that for everything.
Yeah, vision is probably one of the biggest things, like evolutionarily, that got us out of the water. No, something like that. I mean, besides legs, obviously.
I think it was legs.
I think.
I don't know. I was
legs
watching.
versus eyes. Who
No,
would
I actually
win?
think like it was actually legs.
Yeah. Oh, obviously, yeah. It was definitely legs, but like, yeah, it was legs.
Where were you going with the eyes thing?
I don't know. Eyes are cool.
Have you ever thought like if you were to lose one sense, which sense would you like to lose?
Which sense would I use?
And why are there so many
Lose?
senses?
Are we talking
The original five,
The original five, or
The
are we
OG.
talking all?
OG.
Why though?
Because like you can lose like some random sense. Like I don't want.
But I feel like the original five are those senses where I'm just like, I want all of these. Like,
But
why
that's-
can't I lose?
That's the whole point.
Why can't I lose proprioception and not be able to know where I'm going ever? I'd rather do that.
All right. Well, okay. Two questions, and the first one is the OG5.
Okay. For the OG5.
Yeah.
Taste.
Yeah.
I'd be able to live the most normal.
Hmm. I feel like if I lost, no, I want to say smell, but like I
The
feel like
reason
it's
I say taste, by the way, is because you know the thing where they say like a lot of your taste
Hmm.
actually comes from the smell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I don't know.
okay.
That's really why. What would you choose?
I don't know. It tastes actually a pretty good one. I never thought.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I have thought about it. It's just like I always think about it in the sense of I'll just eat healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you don't know that it tastes bad.
Yeah.
There you
But
go. Damn, I could actually down a kale smoothie if I lost taste.
yeah.
That's crazy.
But I was also thinking about hearing, and I know hearing is obviously very
Well,
important.
that's out of the game for me.
Yeah.
I cannot.
I don't
do
know. I
that.
feel like sometimes I just like tuning stuff out.
Mhm.
And it would be so easy because they have hearing aids, and I'm
Yeah.
sure hearing aids aren't amazing, but like
Well, of course.
but for me it's not that important. Like I just have to understand words. Like I'm not in the music business. Like music is amazing and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
but
yeah, of course.
at the end of the day, like if I could just tune people out once in a while.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That definitely would not be my choice though.
Yeah.
But besides that, temperature.
Temperature, dude, I was thinking the same thing.
Easily temperature,
Yeah.
dude. If it wasn't the original 5, cause like it's not even like, oh, if I didn't feel temperature, I'd never be hot or cold. It's like, yeah, but you'll still be uncomfortable. You wouldn't be able to feel that you're hot, but you start sweating for no reason, and that's just nasty.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to walk out when it's 20 degrees, but it doesn't look 20 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh, that was Fahrenheit, by the way. But like, walk out when it's, not even 20. What if it's like midwinter, but there's like no snow?
Yeah.
And it's like mad cold.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's like, what if I burn my hand?
exactly. What if I walk out and it's mad cold and I'm like wearing a t-shirt, but just because like I don't really realize.
Yeah.
The one that I definitely 100% would not want to lose.
Eyesight.
No, pain.
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 I feel like for me it's just eyesight because mostly
Well, pain is eyesight you can live without. Pain is immediate death.
I mean it's not immediate death.
It's not immediate death, but it's death.
rough. It's rough.
No, but I think it's complete death.
There are people who are born.
Oh, absolutely. But like, you know how many medical checkups you have to do?
Dude, it's just like every day you have to
Almost
check yourself
every
if you
single
have any
day.
cuts, anything.
Because you don't know. You could be internally bleeding.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah.
You have to be checked up practically every single day.
Yeah.
Because they need to make sure your body is functioning.
Yeah. But
Because our immediate security system is pain.
Yeah.
If something is wrong in our body, the only way our body can tell us is with pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would not want to lose pain.
I feel like sight for me, just because I don't know.
Sight is just something we, like, as humans, I feel like people just hold so close to them, man.
Yeah.
Like, losing your eyesight is like probably one of the hardest things somebody could do, like somebody could go through.
Yeah, for sure. I rely on it for so many things. Like,
too many things.
I use it for stuff that's important. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know I feel like I'd be completely different without my eyesight.
Oh yeah. I feel like emotionally I wouldn't want to lose eyesight, but practically I wouldn't want to lose pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, to make almost every episode grim.
Yeah.
I feel like every episode usually. No,
I feel like we ended on CRISPR last time.
We did end on CRISPR last time.
CRISPR chicken.
CRISPR chicken. This episode was a little grim. I'm trying to have some guests though on the podcast. Hopefully next time, I'm getting some more mics and whatnot. Hopefully we could set up 3 mics.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Have PewDiePie join.
Yeah, our boy PewDiePie.
I still remember his Spores video. Spores creation. Dude, why were we so stupid as kids? We went into a library and started watching those videos.
I remember that. I remember that exact day.
Why did we try to make this a challenge to not laugh while watching the videos?
Because that shit was fucking funny, dog.
The first time we watched it, I could not stop cracking up. That was hilarious.
I was pissing myself. That's how funny it was.
That was great. Oh my god. I still remember just feeling pain with how much I was laughing.
God. And hopefully, I want to start doing some like stupid skits or something. If I can get a hold of a camera, we could maybe do that this like winter.
Ooh, skits would be nice.
Yeah, right? That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we've got planned, hopefully. And hopefully there'll be a couple of more of these. Maybe some gameplays if I can get those uploaded.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of iffy about the gameplays right now.
I feel like I just want to do like one-offs. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like we should
because
focus on that, just because.
definitely.
If
Even
it,
though we started Limbo already, but we might scrap that, and you guys might never see it.
and so you'll
Uh
never know
oh.
what we're talking about.
Uh-oh. But we'll do Limbo
Yeah,
sometime.
some year,
Yeah. But yeah,
some
we should
decade.
stick to one else for now.
Yeah.
But until next time, do our outro. Do our famous outro.
Na, 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 na.